Hey everyone, it is Control Plus Drama. We are going to be reading some Reddit stories, sometimes scary, sometimes stupid, depending on, if I decide to choose something without reading it again. But all the time it's going to be interesting. And we're going to have some sort of stupid reaction to it, probably.
We have a lot of input.
Mhm.
And our faces too. Like, I feel like everyone can tell by just looking at our faces. Like, what? Can't hide
Yeah.
nothing.
I only read a little bit into the ones that you sent, so I'm going to be pretty much blind in all of these, and it's going to be like genuine reaction,
I didn't even read the one you sent. I just read the headline and was like, perfect.
I did read like 2/3 of the one that I sent you, but yeah. I
All
kind of learned the
right.
last time I sent something without reading it. That was so stupid. It's so dumb.
Like, I don't read the ones that you send me because I'm like, oh, I want to be surprised. But I do read the titles.
Fair. Fair enough.
All right. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I can start with the one that I sent.
Yes.
Okay, you good? She's looking like Albert Einstein with her hair everywhere.
How
Um,
cute.
Child, lay down.
These two
Okay,
specialize in being
so,
chaotic and adorable. Yes, yes, we do.
heavy on the chaotic.
Yeah.
You know.
Mainly chaotic.
Yeah. Alrighty. So this story comes from the Reddit of Two Hot Takes because I may or may not be a fan of them. You know. So it says the guests my friend brought to my New Year's Eve party left my house a mess, spilled an entire bottle of Presco on the rug, and were inconsiderate the whole night. Would I be overreacting if I brought it up to my friend?
No. I don't think so.
Honestly,
It's Prosecco.
I 24 female, love to host parties and gatherings. I do a New Year's Eve party every year, and it ends up being a chill and fun night, typically 5 to 10 of us, including partners, max. I decided this year that I wanted to extend the invitation to people outside my very tight circle and invite friends who I wasn't super close to, but still know I'd enjoy the company. I made it clear that any guests that they wanted to invite were welcome, as I didn't want my friends to feel awkward or that they couldn't come because somebody that they cared about wasn't invited. This might be my last New Year's Eve party too, as I'll be moving across the country soon and I don't know if I'll be able to host New Year's Eve next year. So I sent out the invitations at the beginning of December, and as I got responses, I started to see that I was about to host 15 to 20 people. It was way more than I was expecting, but I love a challenge. I prepared everything meticulously. I ordered decorations months in advance, planned a grocery list and cooking schedule. Everything was going to be perfect. Honestly, W host. New Year's Eve arrives, and I spend all day prepping as my besties, Shayla and Maya, both 24 female, come early to help me set up. The more my friends start arriving, and we finally had the new more of my friends start arriving, and we finally had the New Year's Eve get OGs, as we jokingly call ourselves, help me with final touches. Then my friends Henry, 25 male, and Taylor, 24 female, arrive. For context, they're dating, but I'm equally good friends with both of them. I greet them and try to get them talking to my other friends as I'm in the middle of cooking. Henry's friends, who he last minute asked me if they could come, eventually get there too, and they go inside. They are Kyle, 25 male, Henry's high school best friend, and John, 25 male, Kyle's college roommate, and Betsy, 25 female, John's girlfriend, aka the trio. They bring a bottle of Presco, among other alcoholic beverages, and put it in the freezer to get cold.
Wait,
The last
Prosecco
friend of
doesn't
mine.
freeze, does it?
No, Prosecco. I keep saying it wrong, but no, it doesn't freeze. I think they just put it in the freezer to get cold. Hey,
Oh,
thanks for the
okay.
follow. Welcome to the Looney Ticks.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, I think they just put it in there to get cold.
Okay, because I was like, the one time I left wine in my freezer, that shit exploded. And my roommates had to clean it up, and we're like,
Oof.
oh shit, we didn't know that wine explodes. My bad. Okay, sorry. Go on. I was hella confused.
No,
for a
you're
sec.
good. I I don't think that's the type that explodes, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google that after.
It's a
Okay, so.
bubbly though.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it freezes then.
Hopefully it doesn't explode because I know like when I take off the top at work, sometimes the top just pops, so I have to be careful on how I
Oh.
take it off. I don't want that shit to be hitting someone in the face, you know?
Hey, but that would be
Like,
funny. Imagine just like pop it and then it smacks him in the face and you'll be like, oopsies.
oop, my bad.
The last friend of mine comes with his friends. They end up being super chill, but leave shortly after to go to another party. Things get way louder, but I was happy that people seemed like they were having fun. Fast forward to when I actually get to enjoy the party. We eat and talk a little while. John and Kyle try to airplay the music to the TV. They ask me, and I tell them it's a very old TV and there's no chance for any Apple device casting, but I have a handy dandy speaker if they wanted to. Of course, they completely ignore what I said and as I try to hand them the speaker and they say something else about AirPlay. So I just go back to what I was doing. They end up not playing music at all. This is important for later. Shayla brings out her drinking board game. It's got a lot of fun and chaotic elements that help spice up the game. I'm not a huge board game fan, but I love this game. Kyle seemed to be annoyed that he had to play, and I later was told that while I was cooking, he was talking about playing some frat party drinking games. So I assumed he was disappointed that this was our drinking game. However, he was so rude during most of the game, acting too cool and refusing to do anything that would come up on his play. For example, one of the things was to take a ketchup shot, and he bitched and moaned until after we had already moved on. That's fucked up. That's a party killer.
He seems like someone I don't want to ever invite to my party.
Yeah.
You know,
Honestly,
I
I
would have
can
no
tell.
problem being like, dude, you're boring. You should go home.
I can tell why he was invited last minute. He probably had no other plans.
Eee. What a buzzkill. I was gonna say kill buzz.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Then my bestie Maya accidentally called Kyle a different name, but it still sounded similar, like his name was actually Kyle. She accidentally called him Lyle. She was tipsy, and he also didn't personally introduce himself to her. She only heard his name from a distance when he was talking to me. Thus, she mistakenly called him Lyle. Now, I don't know about you, but when someone gets my name wrong, it's not a huge deal for me. Maybe it's a to each their own situation, but as someone with a difficult to pronounce last name, I don't get my panties in a bunch about it. I politely correct them with a don't worry about it and move on with my life because it's never that serious. Instead, Kyle acts like Maya just insulted his entire bloodline. He rolls his eyes and vehemently corrects her and makes fun of her mistake. She apologizes and he continues to bitch about it as he throws himself back on the couch, looking very pissed. At first, we all thought he might be joking, but he genuinely was mad. The
What a
reaction
bitch.
rubbed me the wrong.
Sorry.
Right? That's fucked up, bro. The reaction rubbed me the wrong way immediately and made the situation way more awkward than it should have been, especially because Maya apologized. I tried to de-escalate by saying something to the group about how mistakes happen and whose turn is it now, just to try to get us to move on from this awkward moment. We continue, but don't get far as Betsy accidentally spills her drink on the board. Shayla cleans it up, and then it just seems that the trio's not paying attention in general. Shayla looks at me and says, it might be time to move on to another game. I agree, as I was getting frustrating having to manage the trio, and she could tell they didn't want to play. This is where their speaker comes into play. When we started the game, I began playing my own music from it as I realized Kyle and John weren't, and it had automatically connected to my phone. Without asking or saying anything, while music clearly was being played from the speaker, they grabbed it when they didn't like what was playing and disconnected me to play their own music. Bro.
I don't know. I think
I'd
this person
flip
needs
out.
new friends. Thank God that she's moving out of the country.
Right?
Fuck these
I'd
friends.
flip, dude. I'd be like, excuse you. Like, you're in my house. That's my speaker. You need to frickin' have some manners or something, dude.
Rude.
Jump puts the yeah. Jump puts the speaker next to us playing games and turns up the music until nobody can hear a thing. He openly played it loudly when the trio seemed done with playing the board game too. It was so inconsiderate that eventually someone told them to turn it down. I unfortunately can be a bit shy when setting boundaries. I'm working on it and could not work up the courage to tell them to turn it down. or even to stand up for myself to tell them that I was on the aux playing my own music.
Hmm.
The least they could have done was ask to take over or ask me to cue any specific songs. So it just felt like they were trying to make it into a full-blown party with the vibes were anything but that. Then
I
Maya
feel
pulls
so
out a
bad
game
for
she was
OP. Sorry.
right? No, you're good. Like these people are so inconsiderate. Like Jesus.
I could never.
Me neither. Dude, this is why if I ever had a party, I would probably just have it to the people that I know would vibe with me.
I mean, I host people all the time, and no one has like treated us like that. The minute they do, I'm like, you need to go home. And I have no issues telling people they need to go home. Like, I will be a fucking dick. If I don't want you there, I'm like, I think it's time you go home.
That's fair.
Like, you're killing the vibe. I'm sorry.
Then Maya pulls out a game excited for us to play since she had gotten it as a gift for Christmas. It's that game that went viral with the alphabet, and you have to name things that were within the category but start with an available letter that hasn't been tapped yet. The first thing Kyle says with obvious disdain is, "How are we supposed to drink to this?" Mind you, a grown adult. I hear Maya, a full-time nanny for toddlers, put on her baby voice she instinctively uses when de-escalating toddler tantrums and says, "We'll find a way. Maybe if you lose, you drink." How does that sound?
I love that she's like gentle parenting, toddlerifying his action.
I love that. Yes, exactly. She's just like,
as she should.
how about this? Honestly, that's the best way to treat a man baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love her. Honestly, Maya's the best. I can tell. Maya's like the friend that steps up for all the shy friends, and she's like, "You're not taking advantage of her. Go away."
Like, sit your ass back down.
hmm Kyle backs off and we end up playing it, and actually, it was really fun. However, I start to hear Shayla's boyfriend get annoyed as Kyle starts making stuff up that doesn't make sense. I couldn't even see Henry and Taylor get annoyed at him. We were all just ignoring it. Kyle was the least of everyone's worries, though, as Betsy was purposefully playing the game wrong. She would say a word that already had been said and tap letters that were already used. Most of us tried to gently correct her, but she was ignoring us and acting like she couldn't hear us. Maya tried explaining the game to her again, but she wouldn't listen. Then Betsy, who did not seem drunk whatsoever before this, spills her drink on the table. Thankfully, Shayla cleans it up, and it was not a big spill. Isn't that the second spill that Shayla's done? It feels like she's sabotaging. I don't know. That's suspicious. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe she's one of the ones that look sober, but she's actually fucked up. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, because if not, that's a fucking dick move.
Yeah.
Not even 30 seconds after cleaning the initial spill and us trying to go back to the game, Betsy knocks her drink over, spilling it all over the game and table. This time, it looked very intentional.
Oh no, she's just a bitch.
Maya and her boyfriend end the game and take the device into the kitchen to dry it with paper towels. I was prepared to put a disposable table cover on the game table, so Taylor helped me pick it up and throw it out. I make sure Maya isn't upset about her game, and she wasn't, but it was clear about not wanting to use her game anymore, which is completely understandable. It's fine because it was about 5 minutes to midnight anyway. So we all gather around the TV with our drinks as the ball drops. It was a chaotic moment, but very fun. We do some more little shenanigans before cleaning up some and going to bed. Guess who doesn't help but the trio? The only thing they do is plop a paper Trader Joe's bag on the kitchen counter without a word. I didn't feel like talking about the trash, so I just left it there and went to bed. Also, it's probably worth noting that the trio didn't tell me they were sleeping over and just started blowing up the air mattress in my living room. I did say people could sleep over, but I requested it in my invite that I wanted a heads up, so I knew how to prepare the space. They did not do that, as they didn't even RSVP, and I was the only told that they would be coming the night before New Year's Eve. However, they had been drinking, and I have the option to sleep over because I have the extra rooms and sleeping pads. I'll never let anyone drive home under the influence, period.
She's responsible.
The next morning, honestly, yeah.
We love a responsible queen. Join
Not
her
only a
zero
good host,
conflicts.
but a responsible friend. Hell yeah. The next morning, I get I get up to pick up my bagel delivery that I placed, and I place them on the kitchen for later and go back to bed. I heard people were awake in the living room, but I didn't go check as I didn't have my contacts in and I was still exhausted. I fell back asleep, and when I woke up, Henry, Taylor, and the trio were gone. Henry and Taylor had cleaned up their sleeping area, but the trio left the furniture they had moved strewn and disheveled. I was a bit annoyed because I ordered extra bagels to feed everyone who slept over as nobody told me they were leaving early. I texted Henry and Taylor that I was sorry I missed them, and they told me they had to leave early for other plans, but had fun. I brushed the Irish goodbyes off and went about my morning and began cleaning up the dishes and trash from the night before and set up breakfast. During the cleanup, I discovered that TJ's bag from before was soaking wet. When I opened it, there was a shattered bottle of Prosecco the trio had brought the night before. Nobody said anything about there being something that broke or spilled. I was trying to rack my brain about when it could have happened, as I'm sure I would have remembered since I don't drink that much, especially when I'm hosting. So I cleaned up the counter, threw out all the trash, and did the dishes. I organized the furniture back to where it was supposed to go. Slowly, everyone else started to wake up. We sat down, ate bagels, and debriefed. We realized we all had the same thought concerning the night before and had a ball talking through it all. Then, as the day progressed, they all helped me thoroughly clean up. It wasn't until we were vacuuming when we noticed a dark spot on the rug. It wasn't extremely noticeable, but if you're staring at the carpet, it was obvious. I immediately realized that this is probably where the Prosecco was spilled. I felt the carpet and with my hand, and yep, it was wet. I had someone help me move the couch, and I realized they tried covering the spill that was starting to stain
That's
under the
fucked
wooden couch.
up. What the fuck?
That's crazy. Under the wooden couch leg by moving the couch over the spill. That's gonna just press it into everything underneath the carpet. That's fucked up.
At least fucking clean it up.
Right?
I hope these people are
Oh my
never invited
gosh.
anywhere ever again. That's so
Honestly,
rude.
that's so rude. They didn't have much luck as the spill spanned over 3 feet of the rug. That's such a big spill. They didn't
Do you
even
know-
try to clean it up.
Bro,
They tried to
3
hide it
feet
instead.
is a lot. Okay, 3 feet is like
Yeah.
my body minus my head. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but like, what the fuck? That's
They didn't have much luck as the spill spanned over 3 feet of the rug space. And it was hard to cover up without making it look like they were covering it up. Thankfully, I had carpet cleaner and it was an easy fix, but it took much longer to clean than it would have if they just told me about it right away. I could have let the cleaner stay on overnight to knock it out. Instead, it took about 3 to 5 hours to fully clean up. That's insane.
that's crazy.
Like, I'm glad that it didn't stain permanently, but 3 to 5 hours? Holy.
I'd be fucking pissed.
That's insane. I wouldn't have been upset at all if they had told me right away. Annoyed? Sure, but shit happens. Especially at a party. And getting mad at a spill won't fix that it needs to be cleaned. But to not tell me at all is absolutely unacceptable and ridiculous to me. I was so mad when I realized how horribly they treated my party, my home, and just left like they couldn't be bothered to help clean up. The mess that was mostly theirs. My mom thinks I should talk to Henry and tell him how inconsiderate his friends were, but I don't know if it's worth it to bring it up because I don't need money for a cleaner. I don't care for an apology from the trio. I just don't want Henry to apologize on behalf of his friends because it wasn't his fault. I can only imagine that telling Henry would be useful if I threw another party and he wanted to invite them again. It's also a bit tricky because Henry, Taylor, and I are not really good friends, but colleagues in the same industry that relies on connections and knowing the right people. So I just don't want to make anything awkward. On the other hand, my mom and friends think that it might be useful so that he's aware of how crappy his friends acted, so he won't invite them to anything I throw again. Part of me wants to talk to him about it because I genuinely was upset about the trio's behavior, but the other part of me wants to keep things peaceful. Should I let it go, or would I be overreacting for bringing up everything to Henry?
I don't think she's overreacting.
I don't think so either.
Oh, hell no.
Me too, honestly, because, well, if they're in the same industry and they rely on people that they know, if she tells Henry and Henry confronts them, then that could cause issues with like future job stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I think it would just be better to just be like, not let Henry invite them to future functions. But she's moving across the country, so she's never gonna see them again, probably.
I mean, I don't know. It's a small world.
You know what? It is a small world, especially if it's like a small niche,
Yeah.
like job thing. It doesn't say exactly what the job is, but it does say that they're in the same field, and it's dependent on who you know.
That's just wild to me, though.
They're colleagues in the same industry that relies on connections and knowing the right people. So if she makes waves, it could just follow her across the country.
Yeah.
In the industry, unfortunately.
Maybe it might just be me, but the more I age, the less fucks I give. Mm-hmm. I'm like...
Yeah, same. I feel like I would have said something in the moment, though.
Yeah. I mean,
because
at least...
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, it did feel like Betsy was doing all the spilling on purpose, and I bet you $20,000 that Betsy was the one who crushed the bottle on the carpet.
She's a bitch.
Or spilled.
You know what, Betsy? Mm-hmm. Fuck you. Just kidding.
I hope you're listening, Betsy. Your mom's a hoe.
Who raised you like this? The audacity.
Right?
If Henry isn't already at least a little aware, you gotta let him know. I know. I feel like he should be aware. But I do feel like he might feel bad too. Oh well. So this one is from True Scary Stories. I would have been freaked the fuck out too because my mama was born in 1979. So it's around that age. Anyway, Mom thinks she met a famous serial killer in 1976. About a year ago, I was sitting at home when I got a random call from my mom. She told me the story, which I had her write down for me later on. The following story is copy and pasted directly from what she wrote. I know I must have been 11 or 12 years old because I know this because I was still riding my sister's hand-me-down blue Schwinn. Is that girl's bicycle? I don't know the brand. I don't even know bikes like that, but okay. I got a new 10-speed bike at 13 years old. Don't know what 10-speed bike is either. And I weighed about 74 pounds, which I'll explain later. I was born in 1965, so that makes the year this happened around 1976 or 1977. It was a long time ago, but certain parts of it are burned into my memory. I was wearing jeans, but don't remember what was on top. So it must have been late spring or early fall, because if not, it was hot like the middle of summer. I would have been wearing shorts. I was tall for my age, thin, and had shoulder-length light brown hair. Our house was about a 3-minute bike ride from the Jewel Osco store. I often rode up there to buy myself a sweet treat, as I did that back in the day. I parked my bike outside the door and went into the Osco side of the store where the candy aisle was located near the door. I looked over my choices and finally settled on a large bag of sugar babies. At some point, a man came down the same aisle and started talking to me. I was naive and shy and raised to never say no to an adult. I will never teach my kids to do that. I don't care if they're an adult. If they're disrespecting you or they're acting weird, scream. Anyway,
if you do not know that adult, you do not say yes to that adult, you do not talk to that adult.
That's the only time you're permitted to use curse words. Have you seen those videos on TikTok to where parents are trying to teach their kids like to say no to strangers, and some kids end up just cursing the fuck out of them? I haven't
seen that. Oh my gosh,
it's so great. So I just quietly turned away and walked down the opposite end of the aisle and turned back up into the greeting card aisle. He followed me and maneuvered in front of me. I don't remember everything he said, but I do remember him saying he could guess my weight and asked if he can prove it to me. Of course, I shyly said, okay. He reached behind me, putting his hands between my legs and lifting up on my butt. He guessed 74 pounds, and he wasn't that far off. Things didn't feel right, but I couldn't bring myself to protest. There were no other people in the aisle. Then he offered to buy my candy for me. I tried saying no, but he insisted. I said, okay. He smiled and told me to go wait outside for him while he paid for the candy. I realized now that he didn't want to be seen with me. I waited outside by my bicycle for the man to come out. I thought hard about leaving before he came out and almost did. But I really wanted my sugar babies. That's such a kid thing. I love it.
Damn them sugar babies, bro.
What are sugar babies? Hold on. I have to Google this now. Sugar babies candy. Oh, damn, I haven't seen those things in a hot minute. Do they even
This
taste
is in
good?
the 70s. Hold on, wait. Let me Google.
Not the sugar babies. I've never had them. Are they good, Sherlock?
Oh, those are like weird caramely weird things. They always stick to my teeth. I didn't like them.
Okay, so I figured I'd just get my candy and take off. But when he came out, as he handed me the candy, he told me he had a really cool car that he also wanted me to see and asked me to walk out to the parking lot with him. Again, I said, okay. She's like 11 or 12. She didn't know any better.
In the 70s. You have to also say that in the 70s.
In the 70s.
Let me tell you, a millennial would never. They'd be like, who the fuck is this talking to me? I'm gonna go.
No, have you seen the Gen Zs? Oh my god, when my sister was 11 or 12, this bitch is sassy as hell.
Yeah.
I haven't met any Gen Alphas like at that age yet. Let me see. How old is the
I think Gen Alphas, I think the oldest are like, I want to say 10, but I don't think 10. I don't know.
Making the first generation born in the 21st centuries. I just want to know how old is the oldest? There we go. Let me refine that. 14 to 15 years old. So yeah.
Gen Alphas 14 to 15. Ugh, I feel myself aging as we speak. Somebody get my life alert.
Help! I have fallen and I can't get up. He told me he had a really cool car that he wanted me to see and asked me to walk out to the parking lot with him. Again, I said, okay. As we started walking, I started getting a strong feeling that I need to get out of here. One smart thing I did do is insist that I take my bike with me. So I kept it in between us. He led me out to the furthest edge of the parking lot. Beyond that, it was just an empty field. No buildings, no road. His car was parked so that the passenger side door was faced away from the store. The car was a Volkswagen Beetle, beige or tan in color, in a good condition. Maybe new. I stopped and looked at it, but kept my distance. He opened up the passenger door for me to see in. I smiled and nodded obediently. Then he asked me if I wanted to sit in it. Alarm bells rang in my head. I told him that my mom was waiting for me to get home and I'd better go. In a very nervous prattle, I was surprised and relieved when he didn't object. He just said, okay, and goodbye. I jumped on my bike and left him there standing. I pedaled as fast as I could and didn't look back. When I got home, I sat in the recliner of our living room, ate my candy, thinking about what just happened. I didn't tell anyone. I guess I was afraid. Afraid that what I thought just happened didn't really happen. Afraid I would get in trouble for not handling right. Afraid of making my parents mad or scared or whatever. I didn't want the attention, so I didn't tell anyone ever until I was in my 40s. I finally told my mom, and I regretted it because she cried. The only description I can give for this man is vague. One reason is because I was too shy to look him straight in the face. He was very average. Hold on, let me say that with some sass. He was very average.
You go, girl.
Average height, average weight. Not really young, but not old. White skin, maybe brown hair, but not too dark. I don't remember what he was wearing. I wish I had told and that the authorities were notified, because even if that wasn't Bundy, it was a creep on the prowl for young girls, and I'm sure he eventually found one or more that didn't ride away on her blue Schwinn girl's bike. My mom called me and told me this random story a year ago because she was watching a Dr. Phil episode about Ted Bundy. She was just casually watching when they showed a picture of Bundy's tan Volkswagen Beetle, and her heart sank because she recognized it. That was the first time she made the connection that the creepy man from the Jewel Osco may have been Ted Bundy. I've done some research trying to figure out if he could have been in Illinois, Moline area where my mom grew up. Around that time, it's been hard without more details. But any internet sleuths, do more digging and find anything interesting, please share.
That's crazy.
I know. Imagine. Oh.
Dude, that could have been my mom. My mom was born in 92. Not 92. What the heck? She was born in 72.
Like, damn, your mom is young.
Yeah, my mom's young. She was born a year before I was. That's crazy, you know? Living life. No, but she was born in 72, so she would have been riding around on bikes in like 78.
That's kind of scary, though. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
That's insane, honestly. Because, like, imagine finding out that you could have been serial killed. That's insane. Especially, like, I feel like it's more likely for you in Vegas because there's so much going on there. But then again, there is a serial killer that's running around Ohio right now. And he's around the Columbus area. So it's possible for either of us to be serial killed at this point.
I don't know. I feel like we would be returned by the serial killer.
We just start roasting all the serial killers, and they're like, you know what? Get these fuckers out of here.
Okay, but hear me out. If they have a mask and they're like somewhat hot, and then I might be deranged, okay? But I don't gotta work. You're gonna feed me to keep me alive? Take me. I quit. I'm already done with living, okay? I'm over it. We have to work every single day of our lives just to be in more debt. Just don't feed me seafood.
So you're telling me you're trying to be my sugar daddy and you want me to move in with you already? That's what I'm getting from this, okay? I don't know what to tell you.
You know, I'm not even a book talk, girls. I don't read books like that. I don't read fiction books. I should, but that's just gonna make me even more fucking delulu than I already am. What's your next story?
Oh, I got confused for a second. Moved out at 17. I didn't know I was being watched. I stole this one from you. Don't mind me.
Oh, that's fine. I have the other one.
Alrighty. Okay, so. Moved out at 17. I didn't know I was being watched. It was 3 years ago. I moved into a student apartment on one hour away from my parents' home. It was for my studies. I was 17 at the time. I had negotiated for a long time with my parents so I could live on my own and study independently, since the school was far from home. At first, they were reluctant, but they eventually agreed. I had a small apartment, but I liked it. I was able to decorate it the way that I want, and I made friends quickly. I met my best friend, Eva. Eva's my niece's name. Don't be evil, Eva, please, please! Everything started when a boy moved into the apartment next to mine. At first, I didn't notice him. It was only when I came home from the weekend at my parents' house that I saw a new doormat at the door next to mine. One evening, I was at the common room, a place with couches, a minibar, and a footstool table. Basically a place where young people could hang out and pass the time. I was there with my friends when a boy entered the room. At first glance, he looked shy and especially lost. Eva suggested inviting him to join us. She got up and came back with him. He sat with us and we went around introducing ourselves. For the rest of the evening, he was quiet and reserved and didn't talk much, but I didn't pay much attention to it. As we went back to our apartments, Eva discreetly told me, "Did you notice that he kept looking at you? I think he likes you." I just smiled because at the time, boys didn't interest me, and I was more focused on my studies. It sounds like lesbian behavior, but okay. Anyway, not the judge, all right?
Oh my god.
Not the judge. Wednesday was mail day, and I went down to my mailbox to get the mail, but nothing special. Just a postcard from my aunt who was traveling in Italy for a few ads. I'm just gonna say, I don't know. While flipping through them, a small piece of paper fell out with my first name written on it. I opened it, and written in pen said, You dress so well, you're more beautiful every day. I smiled, imagining myself in a romantic TV series, but I didn't think much of it. I talked about it with Eva and we laughed about it. One evening, I was working in a small restaurant near my school to earn a bit of pocket money to buy groceries during the week and occasionally treat myself to some shopping. That evening, he came in. For the story, I'll call him Dylan. He sat in the bar and I went over to take his order. He was very smiley and talked a lot, even though I had other customers to take care of. It was only the end of my shift, and at closing time, I realized that he had stayed for 2 hours. I found that strange, but I didn't think much of it. Back up to our apartment to get we went back up to our apartments together. I was about to say goodbye before going into mine, but he hugged me. I was surprised. He said, "I'm happy to have a friend here. You're one of the only ones." I was very surprised because we barely knew each other. The next day, I went to school and ran into him in the hallway. He came over to talk to me. We chatted between classes, but the conversation was only about me. He asked me questions like, "What city do your parents live in? What's your class schedule? Do you have a boyfriend?" When I asked him these questions about himself, he dodged them, and always brought the conversation back to me.
Red flag.
That's the fish. That's the spish, dude. In the days that followed, I kept running into him every morning on my way to school. In the evening, when I got home, sometimes even in the school hallways, even though before we hardly ever crossed paths. I found it really strange. I talked about it with Eva and a few friends, but they all told me that maybe he just had the same schedule as me. I had thought that the note I received in my mail might have come from him, but I didn't mention it to him. One day, when I was cooking at home, the doorbell rang. I thought it was Eva coming to pick up some of her things, but when I looked through the peephole, I saw Dylan and he was already smiling. I hesitated to open the door, but I did anyway, reluctantly. He was holding a box of Ferrero Rocher chocolates and handed them to me and said, "This is to thank you for being a golden friend." I thanked him and closed the door.
I mean, he has creepy attitude, but I love Ferrero Rochers. I can't say no to them. They're one of my
Honestly,
favorites.
yeah, same. I was about to say that they were good, dude. That evening, in front of the TV, something clicked. I was eating the chocolates when I remembered that the days before, I had gone grocery shopping with a friend and we had passed by the candy aisle. She bought chocolate and I had told her that the Ferrero Rochers were my favorite. But since they were a bit expensive, I preferred to wait until next month. That was strange. What was strange was that I hadn't seen Dylan in the store at any point. I don't remember telling him that I loved Ferrero Rocher. It bothered me a little bit, but I thought maybe he had asked Eva. So I talked to her about it and she told me he had never gone to see her. We both found it strange. As the days went by, I kept running into him more and more, and every time he came to talk to me, honestly, it was becoming annoying. I talked about it with some of my friends who simply told me to tell him the truth, that it bothered me and that he needed to keep his distance. So one morning in the school hallways, I went up to him, stressed, and told him the truth. "Dylan, you're very kind. I know we're neighbors, but I feel like you're following me and you think you're very close to me even though we barely know each other. You understand that it's not against you, but I'd like you to keep your distance." At that moment, his face fell. He looked angry and a bit sad. It was hard, but it was better that way. Just before the end of the year holiday period, my cousin came to visit me and stayed at my place for 2 days. We spent a good time together, and I ran into Dylan less and less. When I did see him, he didn't even look at me, and he was hurt, but preferred that to him following me everywhere and talking to me nonstop. On the day I walked my cousin to the train station so he could go home, I came back and ran into Dylan in the hallway on our floor. He said hello, I said hello back, and before I went to my apartment, he asked that boy, "Is he your boyfriend?" I told him no, and that he was my cousin and he had come to visit before the holiday. So he went back into his apartment without saying anything. One evening, when I got home, there was a bouquet of flowers placed on the table in my kitchen with a small note that said, "Happy Holidays." What? In her kitchen?
That's creepy. I'd move out, be like,
Very.
no.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucker's either breaking in or someone gave him the key, which I'm not okay with.
Yeah, that that's crazy. I
And I
immediately
feel,
understood that it was, huh?
oh, I was just gonna say, and I would feel very unsafe living there. Being
Oh
17?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh
Uh-uh.
yeah, that's creepy as fuck. I feel stressed out by that. That's crazy. I immediately understood that it was from Dylan. But what bothered me was that the bouquet was inside my apartment. Dylan didn't have the keys to get into my place, and above all, he had no right to do that. I looked at the bouquet and went to the ring. I went to ring his doorbell. I'll admit that I was angry. He opened the door and said, "Listen, I'm not going to repeat myself again. I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in you. And I don't want your gifts either. So please, don't waste your money on don't waste your money giving bouquets to someone else." His face fell again and he just replied, "Okay." I
As she
asked him how he
should.
managed, right? Honestly, at least she's not like too shy to say anything. You know, like I don't know. I feel
No,
like
because I feel like a lot of men don't get the point, so you have to tell them straight what it is.
and that's so parasocial. Like he feels like I don't know. I feel like he got it in his head that they were way closer than they actually were, and he's like obsessed now. It's rough.
Why are you so obsessed with me? Wanna know?
I asked him how he managed to leave the bouquet in my apartment, and he simply told me that the building caretaker had opened my door so he could put the flowers inside. I didn't look into it any further and went back home. That's crazy. Why would the caretaker open her door for a stranger to put? What the? That's not right. One night, I was asleep in my bed when the doorbell rang. It scared me. I woke up with a start. I looked at the time on my phone. It was 3 a.m., and I wondered who could be disturbing me at this hour. I got up quietly and looked through the peephole, but the hallway was dark. I couldn't see anything. I stepped back slowly, and then there was a soft knock on the door. From the other side, I heard someone whisper, "Open up. I just want to explain myself." I recognized Dylan's voice. I was terrified because it's not normal to do this kind of thing at 3 a.m. At first, I wanted to check that my door was locked, but if I made any noise, he would know that I was awake. So I simply went back to my bedroom, the only room in my
Oh.
apartment that I could lock. I thought he would leave, but he kept knocking on the door harder and harder. I was terrified. I took my phone and sent a message to Eva, of course. I didn't get a reply. No one is awake at 3 a.m., especially during the school term.
We are.
Then I heard, honestly, then I heard a metallic noise. That's when I realized he was trying to force the lock. My heart started racing, but I took my phone and called the police. I was so stressed that I could only give my address, my floor, and my door number. The operator told me that she would stay on the line until police arrived. I could feel him pulling on the handle, and I knew time was running out. What would happen if he managed to open the door before the police arrived? The longer I waited, the harder the blows on the door became. At one point, I heard loud footsteps in the hallway and someone shouting. My heart finally calmed when I heard knocking on the door and a man shouting, "Open up, miss, this is the police." I got up and looked through the peephole, and it really was the police. I opened the door, and Dylan was on the ground handcuffed. He was furious. One officer dealt with him, while the other took my statement. I told him everything from the beginning to end. They said that they would call me when they had more information. Then came the holiday period. I stayed at my parents' house for 2 weeks, and honestly, it did me a lot of good. The police called me back, and I was shocked when they told me that they had searched Dylan's phone and laptop. They found lots of information about me. Dylan had found all my social media accounts, even my parents' Facebook accounts. I also learned that he had previously assaulted his ex-girlfriend several times, and that she had even ended up in the hospital because of him. After that, I finished my studies, but I moved into a shared apartment with Eva. Today, I'm 19 years old. I still live with my parents, and I admit that I am afraid to live alone again. I don't know when I'll have the courage to do it again. How would you react in my place?
Honestly, I would be fucking traumatized too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
Honestly,
I would
yeah.
ever want to live alone ever again. But this just reminds me of those, like, have you heard those true crime stories of when, like, stalkers become, like, the killers?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt like. If she didn't trust her instincts, this would have turned out to be.
Yeah. Because he was definitely, like, getting worse with time.
Like, the fact that the cops found her social account information and even her parents' Facebooks. Who goes that far? I'm just kidding. I do. I'm just kidding. No, I don't.
The smile on your face when you said that was so believable. You're like, actually, I do. My bad.
I mean,
That's
to be
crazy.
fair, when I first met Jeff, I try to stalk him, but he doesn't have an online footprint like that. He doesn't post and he doesn't really have social accounts. So, it's a failed mission.
Listen, I feel like when it comes to finding out more about the person you're interested in, there should be boundaries on are they interested back in you? Or are you stalking so that you can find out what they like so that you can be like, "Oh yeah, I like those too." Versus like finding their parents' Facebook accounts. That's fucking weird. Like, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Like, I'm gonna stalk you to make sure that you're the person I like. To make sure this isn't gonna be no, I'm gonna let you hit one and done type of moment. But you know what I mean, though, right? Like, I don't want to like you enough for you to hit it, and then just to find out you're a piece of shit after.
Fair enough, yeah. My blanket's slowly being taken by this dog. Please, I want to be warm. Oh, honey, I think I have to go. This dog is actually due having puppies on me.
Ooh, nah, yeah. I will see you next week.
I don't know what you said. What?
Good
I love
night,
you.
everyone.